talked a little bit about your winner, William Byron. Could things have been different had teammates been a little bit more friendly to each other? Ty Gibbs specifically with Christopher Bell. Both of those cars were in the hunt down the stretch. With 3 to go, you finally saw the pass with Bell passing Ty Gibbs for second. And then Bell set his sights on William Byron. And I think, frankly, just ran out of time. Had there been 1 or 2 more laps, maybe what could have been the difference? But there are people, girls, talking about Ty Gibbs not allowing Bell, who arguably had the faster car, of making the pass around the 54 sooner. And Ty said, listen, I did let my teammate get by me once he got to me and raced me a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think I was watching the race with somebody who said the same thing to me. Oh, well, why didn't Ty let him get by faster? Why didn't Joe get on the radio and say, hey, make way for the 20? And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know if I subscribe to that notion, because Ty's out there racing for points just like anybody else. And on our post-race show, because Performance Racing Network had the race yesterday from COTA, Ty said, look, like you said, as soon as he got to me, I let him race me. It would have been mean to hold him up. So he was in that mindset, and he could have probably made things a little bit even more difficult for Christopher if he wanted to, but it's unfortunate that he ran out of laps. But I don't personally think that Ty did anything wrong.
I think if we were watching F1, it would have been a whole different deal, and
Sure.
team orders would have come across the radio real quick, because let's face it, Bell had fresher tires. Bell had the capability of going and getting that win. So if you're Toyota and you're sitting there in the war room, and we all have heard about the war rooms, right? What are you thinking? Are you thinking Toyota gets the win, or do you sit there and battle it out between the teammates and let the Chevrolet increase his advantage? It's a good question. And they have so much data at their fingertips that I bet the people who were in the Toyota war room or the Joe Gibbs war room had a lot more information, even than what they had in the booth, right? And I think Ty puts up a fight. As we said, Ty's really close to getting that first win. And if something happens to William, he's in position. And so do you want to give up that role? Because if not, then you and your teammate are going to be battling out for what could be Ty's first win. But on the other side of that, there were people behind the scenes with a lot more data than we had at our fingertips.
The elephant in the room here is the fact that Ty Gibbs is the grandson of the team owner, Coach Gibbs. And we had Coach on the Sirius show, and he said, listen, Ty's got to work for all his success. Nothing is going to be handed to him. Ty Gibbs is coming off his 5th consecutive top 10 finish. I mean, this kid is just all over the top 5, the top 3, the top 2 in his sophomore season. I mean, his success is undeniable. His talent is impossible to ignore. I never watched the closing laps of that race thinking, you're holding him up, you're holding him up. It just never felt that egregious to me. Yeah. And Bell didn't complain about it either. I mean, again, I don't know if you have a quiet, private conversation at Joe Gibbs Racing and somebody's going to argue that within their 4 walls, but there was nothing that I thought as a fan watching it that was out of bounds for Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And I think, Lee made a good point of if actually an incident did happen where, William Byron certainly looked like he was setting sail and, without putting a foot wrong, he was going to sail away to victory. But then Noah Gragson spins out right in front of him. He has to slow down. Clearly, he misses it. He avoids it. He goes on to win. But potentially that could have worked out differently. And then whoever was in second would have inherited the lead. And so, Ty's working off of the information of, okay, well, if something happens to William, then if I hold my position in second, I could be the person getting their first ever NASCAR Cup Series win. So you have to look, there's so many variables. It's really hard to say in a particular situation what is the right move and what is not.
It's a really good point to make, because if a caution comes out and you're in second, well, you're going to be on the front row for the restart.
Right.
If you're in third, you're going to be on row 2.
Right.
Right. And so then there's a discrepancy of clean air versus dirty air. There's only one true passing zone, it felt like. And that was through the first and second turns at COTA. So you may not have that many more opportunities. The yellow obviously never came, so it's easy for us to Monday morning quarterback. But you're right, Alexis. I think it's okay to be selfish in that moment. But Lee, the opposite side is saying, well, you potentially took a win from Toyota. You potentially took a win away from the Gibbs organization.
I'm just marveling at what Bell is able to do, because with 6 laps to go, he's 5.5 seconds back. Then Ty is 3.7 seconds back on the next lap, and then Bell passes him, and he takes it from 2.7 seconds behind, and gets it down to 0.692, and that's tires on a 4-mile course. When you think about that, but if you're sitting there in the war room, I mean, at this point, Hendrick has won half the races, right? And you have to look at it, I think, from that standpoint is how strong they are. And this is going to come down. We haven't seen Ford flex their muscles yet. Just the fact that you look at what they've been able to do. And yeah, RFK, they've been there. Blaney's been there. It's been a Toyota and Chevy show this year. And
without a doubt.
And you kind of have to wonder, you're wondering when Ford's going to show up. I think Richmond might be a place that's really good for Brad Keselowski. What's he at, 104 races now or something crazy like that? But, we're all kind of sitting there and waiting to see, okay, Ford, you brought in all this, you guys qualify really well. We're not seeing you race exceptional. When do they finally get their breakthrough? But, until then, you're between the war rooms of Chevy and Toyota and wondering what's going to happen and who's going to grab the win at COTA. And ultimately, it went to Hendrick again.
Here's Bell quickly on how much more he needed at the end there to catch Byron.
Seems like another lap I would have got there for sure, but, passing was going to be a little bit more difficult, and I needed him to make a mistake, and he didn't make any at the end.